Welcome inside this post-holiday edition of Big Ten Today, fueled by Gatorade. I'm your host, Rick Pizzo. Terrific show coming up today. We will head to Evanston and chat with Emily Fletcher about a week after the Northwestern women's golf team claimed its first ever national title. A week ago, I was out in Los Angeles, had the chance to sit down with Husker headman Matt Rhule. You'll hear part of that exclusive chat and, of course, get you caught up on all the baseball and softball news as we have reached the regional and college World Series stages, respectively, for those two sports. But we begin, as we typically do, with our big story taking us to the Boston suburbs and the men's lacrosse NCAA title game, where top seed Cornell beat number 2 Maryland to claim the national championship. Terps finished their season as runners-up with a 14-4 record and an amazing 9th appearance in the championship game over the past 14 years. Here's the post-game reaction from Gillette Stadium.
Dean Linke with Eric Kohler with the Maryland Terrapins. And Eric, a big-time season for you. Came up just a little bit short, but you got to be proud of your team.
Yeah, I mean, our guys, I thought they gave it our all this year. I mean, you look at last year, like, the fight was to get back to Memorial Day weekend, and we did that. And unfortunately, this is the outcome again. I just felt like, they played the more complete game. But it doesn't speak to what we have in that locker room this year. I got one more year, and frankly, like, what they did will never be taken for granted, because those seniors who are leaving have done so much for us, and they're going to bring us right back here, because I tell you, we're not going to forget what happened today. And obviously it's tough, and words only speak so much. But we're just lucky to have the guys that we have, and a lot of the guys that are leaving. And I can only speak for, I'll speak for the defensive side of the ball. Like, there's so many leaders on that side who return a lot, but J-Mac, Colin Burleys, Jackson Canfield, Jordy Holmes, guys like that, Zach Orno, never forget what they did.
Maryland lacrosse, been around 100 years. 17 times you've been in the national championship. Sure, you're a little short, but you must be pretty proud of your team.
No doubt. Our guys battled all year. Represented the program on the field, off the field, in the classroom, like, again, kind of represented be the best, which is our culture. But super proud of them. I know they're hurting right now. I hurt for them just because they put so much into it. You want to see them, obviously, successful. Great group of guys. We're going to miss those seniors, but good nucleus of people, leaders. We got some good kids coming in. And again, this will stink for a while, but we'll get back together, kind of catch our breath here, and then get back going again in the fall and try to do it all over again.
As that lacrosse title game was being played, the NCAA revealed its bracket for the 2025 NCAA baseball tourney, with 4 teams from the Big Ten inside the field of 64. Our Gatorade game leaders showing you that both UCLA and Oregon earned top 16 seeds and the right to host regional weekend. Big Ten tourney champ Nebraska will start its tournament in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, while USC will travel to Corvallis, Oregon. Meanwhile, just 8 teams remain in the quest for a softball natty, and this year's Women's College World Series includes 2 of the Big Ten's newcomers. Coincidentally, Oregon and UCLA will open up against each other Thursday night. Big Ten Network softball analyst Sydney Supley has more on what to expect from the Bruins and Ducks in Oklahoma City.
The Bruins now have made it to their 33rd Women's College World Series appearance. That's an NCAA record. It's 9th in their last 10 years. And why that's so important is the fact that now they have so many players who have experience of playing in Oklahoma City. You can't buy that type of experience. Everything right now rolling in UCLA's direction after their backs were against the wall. We saw Caitlin Terry step up in a huge way with Taylor Tinsley coming in to slam the door. That's the duo that brought them to OKC last year. And then you add in the freshman phenom in Addison Fisher, who has 16 wins on the season. But it's going to come down to the Brash brothers and Jordan Woolery, Megan Grant, both of them chasing so many offensive records and just being that spark plug for this lineup. They have 95 home runs on the year, and they're going to face a very familiar opponent within Oregon Ducks, a team they went head-to-head with for the Big Ten title. And on the Ducks side, this is a team that's probably the most well-rounded team we have ever seen from an offensive standpoint. They have over 170 stolen bases, with Kai Lushar leading the way at 59. With one more stolen base, she would set a Big Ten record at 60. And then they also have the big bats with an 80-plus home runs. But the key for Oregon was to get their ace, Lindsey Grind, going. She led the nation in wins all year long. She faced a little bit of struggles within the playoff. However, she had a standout resume performance in the Super Regional Game 2 that ultimately punched the ticket, the first under Melissa Lombardi, and the first time the Ducks are going back to Oklahoma City since 2018.
It was all the drama a golf fan could ever ask for. Final hole of the final match with the Women's National Championship on the line, and Northwestern's Deanna Lee drained that putt to clinch a win over Stanford and handing the Wildcats their first ever national championship in women's golf. And we are thrilled to be joined today for the big interview by Northwestern head coach Emily Fletcher. Emily, I imagine that today, for you and the players, about a week after that putt finally went down, you are still basking in that national championship glow.
Oh, good morning, Rick. Yeah, thank you so much. It's still real. Beth said to me the other day, she woke up giving herself a pep talk that we can do this and that we can get this title. And then she realized we've already done that. And so we've had a little bit of those moments rewatching this putt of Deanna and this sprint to her teammates, into the arms of her teammates. Is just something that, we'll relive for a long time. And it is still just now soaking in.
Well, let's start at the end. Take us through the range of emotions for you, for Beth, for the entire team, watching Deanna line up that potential national winning putt and then seeing it actually drop into the cup.
Yeah, I kind of hung back with Deanna's match as it was unfolding on, from about the 11th or 12th hole. And so I was not up ahead. Beth was up ahead. And then we all kind of gathered as we got down to just one match being left on the golf course there on the last three holes. And, Deanna was she's just so poised. And that's the way she has been historically on the golf course, doesn't get too high or low, and is very, plays very much within herself. But you could see what was really pent up inside her when she made that putt. But, for us, it was just a matter of kind of staying out of the way, being there to support and encourage, but knowing it was going to come down. It was coming down to this match, and hopefully we were going to be able to, have it end there on the 18th hole and not continue on. But it was just a little bit of a tag team effort. We had both coaches there on the 18th hole coming down the stretch, with Deanna, and then just the culmination of all of our fans and staff and colleagues that came to support us and family there on the 18th hole. It was just a dream ending for sure.
Emily, Stanford had won the title on this very golf course a year ago, had three players back from that national title team, and had dominated the stroke play portion. They won by 20-plus shots. So they were clearly the favorites heading in, but you guys didn't seem to be fazed by that at all. How did you mentally prepare your team for this specific matchup?
Stanford is an incredible program, and the legacy of what they've done in women's golf is just absolutely unmatched. But for us, really, I think the way we were able to manage is that we weren't thinking about them. I think if we had got caught up in how superior their team is, I think it's quite arguably the best ever that they've had at Stanford. And so, our mentality was not to focus on our opponent, but to just know that we had to get everything out of ourselves and prepare to be the best we could be in order to, have a shot in this match and to make it competitive and to really push it, to the end and hopefully come away with a victory.
All three of your matches, Emily, in the match play format end 3-2, and everybody contributed. Lauren Wynn makes a birdie on 18 to win her match in the final. We saw Deanna's heroics in the final, but she also beat Big Ten individual champ Kiara Romero to clinch the semis. Elise Lee had a huge match win in the quarters against Arkansas, and in that same match, first-year Shin Tai Lin beat the NCAA individual medalist. So at the end of the day, how much of a total team effort was this national championship?
It really was. I mean, everyone contributed in big ways, in big matches. From Lauren as a senior, which was we couldn't have written that script any better there in the morning, as she made that putt on the first extra hole to push us into the semis. And this group has been so motivated to do this for Lauren and to extend Lauren's season to the very last, day that we could. And but it was a collaborative and team effort, and it's so fun to be able to have everyone feel like, of course they contributed, but in reality, to start looking at those matches and saying this one was pivotal and this one was pivotal. it's been really special, to celebrate each one of those contributions by our players.
Emily, you mentioned the celebration, which included a lot more Northwestern purple than just the staff and the players. Of course, Director of Golf Pat Goss was there. Head coach David Ingles was there. And I know Pat has made the women's golf program and its success a huge priority for the golf program overall. What can you tell us about the support system and what it's like between the men's and women's programs in Evanston?
I think it's unmatched in collegiate golf, and it's really our secret sauce. It's what's enabled Beth and I to build a program and have the resources to do whatever we need to do to try to, win championships. And I get a little emotional talking about Pat because everybody needs someone in their life, who believes in them. And that's what Pat did for both Beth and I. But his vision for this program has been to win a national championship from day one. So, he's sort of hammered that home. Beth and I get in the weeds and kind of live out the day-to-day, but certainly we've understood all along that this was Pat's vision and passion and belief for our program. And he has turned over every stone. Nothing has been left undone to create the atmosphere and the resources and the framework for us to be able to strive to do something like this. So to have Pat there with us last week was really, really special, not just to Beth and I. He's kind of coaching the coaches. We're getting that from the best, but just the calm and the reassurance and confidence that he speaks into our players and our student athletes is just next level. And we wouldn't be here without him. One, his vision, but just what he contributes day to day as well.
Emily, you've mentioned Beth a few times. She, of course, being assistant coach Beth Miller, who's been with you for 17 years and has had opportunities certainly to go elsewhere and be a head coach. Instead, she has stayed in Evanston. What does she mean to you and to this program?
I mean, she's just been the lifeblood of this program. And I get a little bit sensitive, when I'm listed as the head coach and, of this program. And it really needs to be Beth mentioned along with me. And it's just been incredible. I've learned so much from her, and beyond just our, professional relationship and sticking with each other for 17 years. She's family. Having her husband Ryan and her sons Matt and Sam there on Wednesday was absolutely incredible, and they've been a big part of what we've been able to do, and just the life and the love that they bring to our team. And it was fun all week. There may have been a promise made by Beth to her kids about getting a new trampoline if the Cats could make it to the top four. And so those boys, we were doing it for the trampoline, and we got that done for them. So there was a lot of fun and shared hugs over that trampoline and getting that in the end for him. But Beth is she's so talented. Just to see how she's developed, and she's really underrated and doesn't get the credit that she deserves for just the way that she's helped develop our players and coach our players. She grew up taking lessons from Pat Goss, and she knows and lives out his short game expertise better than I do, and she really has been someone who's built that into each of our players over these 17 years.
An amazing accomplishment for Emily Fletcher, Beth Miller, Pat Goss, everybody associated with Northwestern women's golf. And Emily, I guess we hope that trampoline is just big enough for the entire team and the staff to join the kids as well and celebrate, because you're certainly in a spot to do that right now. Congrats again. So much fun to watch. National champion Emily Fletcher. Emily, thanks for the time.
Thank you, Rick. Go Cats.
Year 2 saw Nebraska take a huge step under Matt Rhule as the Huskers went bowling for the first time in 8 seasons. Even better news, Rhule's programs at Temple and Baylor showed even more improvement in year 3. I had the chance to sit down with Coach Rhule during last week's Big Ten Summit to discuss a variety of subjects, including that 2024 bowl bid.
Well, I think, when you come into a program that hasn't been there in a long time, you're trying to teach the guys, amongst anything, how to be positive, how to work so hard and believe, just really on blind faith that it's going to work. And so while it's not the ultimate step, it's a really positive step that the guys had a chance to accomplish something, go experience something that's part of college football and have fun. And then winning the game was really important too. So I thought it was a great step for our program and our development.
After a couple of years, how close is the program to where you thought, and maybe more importantly, where you wanted it to be at this point?
You know, I think when you look at my history, it's kind of like, you know, usually the first year is not real great. The second year we're about 500, and we hope to make a jump in year 3. We were able to do that at Temple, do that at Baylor. I thought when I came to Nebraska that we should be able to do the same thing. So we have to make that jump. And I know every guy in our program, they didn't come to be 6-6. They didn't come to be average. We want to be a great team. We've had some moments where we feel like we've shown what we can be. And now we just have to live a life that doesn't tolerate anything else.
And you have a terrific quarterback coming back, a kid whose ceiling appears to be somewhat unlimited in terms of that ceiling's height. So how does Dylan Rhule become that quarterback this season?
Well, I think the first step was playing him as a freshman. You know, that's not really the way of college football nowadays. You know, you have to be willing as a young player to live, you know, be resilient and live through the highs and lows, the ups and downs, take criticism. You know, the criticism you take now because of social media and all that's a lot different than P.J. Walker at Temple 12 years ago. And but I thought Dylan was sensational through all that. You know, he was resilient. He was tough. He earned his teammates' respect. I think coming into year 2, he knows better what college football is all about. He's aware of, hey, this is how I have to protect myself. This is the situations. These are the things I need to do to be an elite player. He's taken his physical development to a whole other level. I thought he had an amazing spring. And I think those two things, being better physically and practicing well and maturing, allows him now to be a great leader.
What is Dana Holgerson's impact on this offense now that he's had a little bit of time to actually examine this offense and has now a full year ahead of him?
Yeah, I think the magic to Dana is not in the X's and O's, which obviously, I mean, he's amazing at. I mean, I think it's in the detail and in the execution. I mean, he is unyielding in his commitment to, like, hey, we're going to go out and make the routine play. And, you know, when he first got there, you know, we continued to do a lot of the same things. It just was just a little bit more intensity in terms of, if you don't do this, you're not going to play. I think with a spring, with a fall, him being way more comfortable in terms of this is what we're going to do, the players understanding this is what coach wants. I mean, he's going to be explosive. He's going to be aggressive. And I'm kind of a defensive guy. You know, I'm an old O-line guy. Like we have a lead. We're going to run the ball and milk the clock. And we're playing Wisconsin last year with a lead. He's still throwing RPO slants, and I'm shaking on the sidelines. But that's why I hired him. I hired him to take me as a head coach to another level, take our program to another level. And I know we're going to have a good defense. Dana's going to do a great job offensively.
Do still have to play defense even when you're throwing those third down RPOs with the lead. And there is a change in the front of the room with the defense. What does that mean in terms of how different it looks stylistically?
You know, I think, you know, John Butler, obviously, because he was here, you know, a lot of it's going to be the similar. I think at the same time, you know, we went back and looked and said, like, hey, to get where we want to go, you know, I mean, we have to make improvement to move past where we've been. But we also need to look at ourselves and say, like, how are we going to go play in the college football playoff someday? And how, when we get there, we're going to go win it? And a lot of the things that, you know, you do in 2 minute, that you do in third down, a lot of the ways you attack protections, you know, those are things John did at the Buffalo Bills, at the Houston Texans. And so in my years, we've been in the 3-4, the 4-3, the 3-2-5. None of that matters. Get the best players on the field, run and strike. But John, I think, in the situational football will bring a lot to the table. And I think our players' IQ, their development, has really been amplified because of his pro system.
Which of those defensive players do you feel like may be poised to have that kind of breakout system that you always need on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I think you have to look at all 3 levels. And I think, you know, you go back into the secondary, Deshaun Singleton, you know, was planning on going to get drafted. They had the injunction with, you know, junior college players could have another year. And he's back. I think he's going to be one of the great players in the Big Ten. You know, Javen Wright's another guy that, you know, was going to come out last year, had blood clots, could only play half the year, could never practice. He's had a breakthrough, so he'll be able to practice and play another year with us. So I think when you have experienced guys like that, who had a chance to maybe go play pro football, had some opportunities, and they decide to come back, you expect them to play their best.
Matt, you mentioned college football playoffs, so let's finish there. How inevitable do you think the expansion is, whether it's to 14 or 16, and do you think that's good for college football?
Yeah, I wasn't in the college football playoffs, so obviously that can be kind of a sad thing, but I watched every single game. And it was great to see teams from all across the country play against each other. It was great to see the matchups. I thought there were great games, exciting moments, and so, I mean, why wouldn't we want more of that? I mean, I'm hopeful that they'll continue to expand the playoffs. I mean, you see it, the NFL playoffs over the years have expanded. You know, the NCAA tournament has expanded, play-in games and all that. We all want to see postseason play, and we all want to see a champion crowned on the field. And I think if you play in the Big Ten, man, it's quite a conference. The more people we get in there, I think we proved last year, the better it'll be.
Some breaking basketball news and good news for Michigan hoops. Yaxel Lendeborg has withdrawn from the NBA draft. Projected first-round pick will play his final year of college basketball in Ann Arbor. Averaged 18 points, more than 18 rebounds last season for UAB. That'll do it for this edition of Big Ten Today. A reminder coming up on Wednesday, an expanded 60-minute version as we reveal the 2025 Big Ten volleyball schedule with help from a couple of the league's coaches. Until then, I'm Rick Pizzo. Hope to see you again on Wednesday.